This video is sponsored by Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve is the adult store giant that has been in business for over 45 years. They're supplying you guys with code HONEST for 50% off one item, plus free shipping in the US and Canada. Some exclusions may apply. They have 24/7 customer service and are notable for their extensive run in the adult store industry. And they have a 90-day no-hassle return, so it's very convenient. Vanessa Hudgens was one of the Disney Starlets that had a rather explosive breakthrough role. The High School Musical franchise was a pivotal moment for her career, and the actual start of it all. She graced our childhood screens taking on the role of Gabriella Montez, showing us her acting and singing chops, and becoming one half of Troy and Gabriella, a fictional power couple that eventually translated into a real-life power couple known as Vanessa. They lasted for quite some time before they called it quits. They had a lot of success for the film that also translated to real life. Their duet Breaking Free from the first High School Musical movie peaked at number 4 on the Billboard charts, and they would continue to have long-standing profitability throughout the series. After the success of High School Musical, Disney obviously had a lot of faith in Vanessa, considering that they strategically released her debut album around the same time the first High School Musical installment was released. Out of all the Disney pop girls that came and went in the thousands and 2010s, I think Vanessa definitely has one of the most underrated Disney discographies. It's like the moment when Disney allows their artists to be more explicit or mature when their show is coming to an end. Vanessa started off her discography that way. It wasn't the most outlandish thing and still pretty PG, but mature and utterly different from a typical Disney record. The songs also felt like her. With a lot of Disney artists, you can tell that they were handed a bunch of soulless pop songs to sing, that they probably don't even like themselves. Vanessa isn't entirely above that narrative. However, for the most part, I feel like it all felt natural. As stated before, after the first High School Musical movie wrapped, her debut studio album titled V was released. V is a primarily R&B and pop album. It debuted with 35,000 copies sold in its first week, and eventually it snowballed into 500,000 copies sold and being certified gold by the RIAA. The album had two moderate hits, Say Okay and Come Back to Me, which were both more popular amongst the youth, but still attained success on the overall charts. Come Back to Me peaking at number 55 and Say Okay peaking at number 61. Oddly enough, even though Come Back to Me had more chart success, Say Okay has become her signature hit. The song was also accompanied with a music video that guest starred Zac Efron. It's the embodiment of thousands Disney. But besides that, it's just a catchy song, and it highlights Vanessa's vocal style well. Her vocals aim more towards sugary and soft, rather than loud and powerful. During the period leading up to her second album, she had continued success with the High School Musical franchise. The second installment broke viewing records, the soundtrack sold millions of copies, won numerous accolades such as an American Music Award, and it was producing hits. The entire High School Musical franchise is iconic, but High School Musical 2 is definitely the best one. I don't think people understand how enormous High School Musical was. It was not only on-screen popularity, they also sold millions of records and were a phenomenon that produced chart toppers. It was also the catalyst for all of our other favorite Disney musicals, some where they just blatantly tried to recreate High School Musical, but with a slightly different storyline, and examples of those are Camp Rock, Lemonade Mouth, and Teen Beach Movie. According to Billboard, the movie series has a combined total of nearly 10 million copies sold. So High School Musical was a massive boost for everyone involved. And with Vanessa being one of the main characters, it only helped further her chances of becoming a bona fide star outside of the role of Gabriella. Around the time of High School Musical 2, she did run into a scandal when some private photos leaked, but she fully recovered from the scandal. Her second and final album thus far, titled Identified, was released in 2008. This album takes on an electro R&B and pop sound. It's very out there for a Disney album. A perfect example of that is the lead single from the album, Sneaker Night, which is dance pop, but a little odd for a Disney record. The album was a far more mature sound than her debut. It seemed like it was the turning point and gateway for her to achieve a fully mature sound. Unfortunately, she would never be able to reach that sound. After her sophomore album significantly underperformed and the High School Musical franchise wrapped up, she decided to prioritize acting. Her next significant role would come with Spring Breakers, a movie where she set out to fully break away from her good girl image. The film caused quite a bit of controversy, because it featured other child stars such as Selena Gomez shedding her Disney image as well. Vanessa will continue to attain minor and major roles in some lukewarm films, and even made a name for herself by being a Coachella socialite, really becoming one of the first people to turn the Coachella event into Instagram glamour. And since then, Coachella has been a social media star attraction and also a place to show off fashion. She eventually reverted to her past and started taking on musical roles again. She played the main character Gigi in the Broadway musical of the same name and starred in Grease Live in 2016. The program was completely live and televised. Vanessa Hudgens received positive reviews for her performance and immense support because her father had passed away just one day before the program aired. She also starred alongside Jennifer Lopez in the movie Second Act, which was a moderate hit at the box office. Since then, she's appeared in a few Netflix movies such as The Princess Switch and The Night Before Christmas. Her most recent big role was appearing in Bad Boys for Life alongside Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, which was a massive hit at the box office, grossing $426 million worldwide. Vanessa's had a pretty interesting and unconventional career. She burst out onto the scene being an actress and singer, and with all the success she had being a Disney star, it seemed like she was going to pull back on acting initially, and music would be pushed to the forefront of her career, but it was the other way around. She managed to break away from child stardom, but it wasn't as explosive. I don't think Vanessa is a bad actress by any means. She's great in her respective roles, but I don't think most of her characters show that much distinction. At this point in her career, High School Musical is still her most famous role. As far as her music career, although she didn't have the loudest voice, I think that's an area where she could have potentially grown and evolved more. Music was such a strong suit in her breakout role, it's a bit shocking that she gave it up to focus on acting. Vanessa is still in the spotlight and has not fallen into an obscure place, but her career trajectory was not precisely the one you'd expect from a Disney star who had such a big push behind her.